Welcome back, everyone, for game number 3. We are flying through Academy today, Crumbs, but it's TSM Academy about to take on Dignitas Academy. Now, this is a very important game going into playoffs. DIGA are in danger of losing the bye that they had worked so hard to get in the first half of the season, but there is a lot of mess, as you can see here in the standings. EG, TSM, well, playoff teams are now locked. We should start with that. Team Liquid, congratulations, after FLICKR's defeat at the hands of Golden Guns Academy. They are the 6th and final team to make playoffs, but the muddiness in the standings there with one game between Dignitas and EG and TSM means that we have a lot of different things to resolve, and Dignitas winning or losing here will determine how many, if any, tiebreakers we will be blessed with, Crumbs, at the end of the day. So
exactly,
if Dignitas win, they'll just be sitting pretty. They'll get the second bye. They'll kind of do what they wanted to do this season, which was dominate and have a strong showing in playoffs. If not, things could get wild.
Yeah, and usually we would have thought, oh yeah, Dignitas can win easily, right? It's Dignitas. It was made as a super roster for Academy, but now this is not even the same roster that started off. So there is a legitimate chance here for TSM that's been slowly getting their gears synchronized. They could actually win and beat Dignitas and start making a surge for playoffs.
Yeah, it does feel like a lot of the teams around them, I guess Cloud9 being the exception because they've just been on an absolute tear throughout this whole season, but certainly the teams kind of near them in the standings have been on the rise, and it does feel like Dignitas have been slipping further and further back. They, couldn't lose a game, then they dropped a couple games here and there, then they went 0-2 for the first time ever. Like, it's rough out there for Dignitas, but we'll see if they can kind of right the ship and have it all be okay. Just win and collect themselves that bye, I believe. So Yumi, Tom Kench, been very popular supports banned away today. Well, we'll see what the second ban for Dig is. It is Senna, so certainly plenty of teams still playing it here on 10.6. I think was likely an anomaly that it dropped through our very first draft.
Have you seen how interesting it's been that Yumi is now a blue side ban? She started off as a red side ban, almost perma red. People have to ban Yumi red, and now mostly blue side, where teams just don't want to first pick it, fearing that their composition will be picked apart or too telegraphed, or in cases that is true, teams just don't have practice with it. Teams just are not good with it, and so the pressure of having to first pick the Yumi is so high if the red side team doesn't ban it, that if you don't have a good Yumi, passing it up is guaranteeing the enemy to have it. And if you're not even good at playing it, you're even worse at playing against it.
Yeah, interesting to see 3 bottom lane bans here for Dignitas. Like, Phoenix is a really good center, and I imagine he can play Aphelios as well, so kind of taking a lot of power picks away for themselves there in the 2v2, but I have to imagine they've got something pretty specific in mind with these first few drafts, likely towards the top half of the map. Don't think that's specific, don't think Kane's happening, but Set and Kalista are our final bans, and Ornn is the obvious one left open, so that will be the clear first pick for Dignitas.
The Ornn did struggle in that last game, and I think
it's lost twice?
Yeah, it's lost twice. I think that this might be a trap for Dignitas, because the Ornn does spike later, so you need to index even more in making sure that he gets past the early game just fine. If Dignitas isn't going to play around that, this Ornn could be a source of pressure from TSM that can be exploited.
I also like TSM just taking bot laners here. Going to be Varus for loss, maybe even the support as well for treats, although probably taking something a bit more stable. Doka actually going to take the Gangplank, not only a matchup that I'm sure he likes. Gangplank generally pretty happy into tanks, even one as good as Ornn. But Doka has just been on the Gangplank train like a lot of top laners. Like you said, Crumbs, the logical conclusion for a lot of top laners is to play Gangplank. Pretty safe and a stable champion that they love to take when it is in the meta, and it certainly does seem to be back there now.
I like this Braum takeaway from Dignitas here, because
yep, that's the treat special.
Yeah, it not only is it the treat special, but I thought that was actually going to be the bot lane takeaway right away. When you said I like that TSM is taking bot lane, it was like, oh yeah, take the Varus and take the Braum. TK is banned, and Braum will hurt Lorelow's Ornn. So I figured that would be why you want that combination, and now it'll just be Rakan Varus, which is not as popular, but it still has the crowd control and engage that you want, just not the direct counter to what Dignitas is bringing.
Yeah, I mean, Treats certainly, I think, sticking to comfort here in a pretty critical game for both these teams. I would say pretty similar for Ezreal and Braum, very stable lane there, and Phoenix is a very flashy player, even though he's new to this role. Ezreal, the champion, he can certainly pilot expertly, as Gragas will be the next ban there for TSM, so I imagine both junglers will take some hits here in the draft, given that everyone's just taking bot lanes and solo lanes here in Phase 1.
Yeah, so magic damage, high utility banned out from TSM. Maybe even a Jarvan here could be the following ban. And Grig has not been favoring Jarvan lately, but the pick does a lot against champions like Gangplank and Varus, and instead it's just LeBlanc, more mid lane focus.
Yeah, we have this Syndra ban as well, which kind of seems to be the Phase 2 standard. Oh, Zoe also banned. I actually like that a lot from Dignitas. That's the one that I feel like was left out in the Phase 2 last game. So Evolve gonna lose basically all the good blind picks here if they did want to take mid. But this sets up Damonte nicely as well, as they're probably gonna give Evolve counter pick here. So we'll see what jungler they want to line up. No, I tell a lie, it is Azir, so deciding to counterpick for Speaker instead.
It might actually be safer to take the mid laner here than the jungler, because let's say you grab the Rek'Sai, you could face an Olaf like you saw in the last game. If you
That's
take,
true.
say, maybe a Jarvan, then you're up against a Rek'Sai. If you take Lee Sin, then you're up against a Rek'Sai again. So taking the Azir with all these other mid laners that can kind of exploit Azir, I think puts TSM in a good spot for the 2v2.
Oh, goodness, Akali. That is a sight rarely seen these days. But that will be Damonte's champion, I believe. So he is looking to get involved in the mid lane 1v1. You do not play this champion if you're not trying to kill the enemy mid laner.
So the jungler has to match that story, and it totally does. Jarvan Akali, so Dignitas wants to take the initiative here. They want to take the win. They don't want to have TSM giving us more games.
Yep, no Elise for Grig, which was maybe one of the other options he could consider, but certainly has got a number of Jarvan games under his belt as well. I feel like this also somewhat blocks Olaf, which I like, so we'll see what Speaker does go to here. He's played Zac pretty recently. He has a number of options here. I mean, was also always known as that flashy, kind of mechanically brilliant player, but the TSM special never fails here. They gone full late game with that Sejuani last pick.
Oh man, his coach just puts his headset on Speaker. We're gonna need you one last time, man. Just do it for us. Bring it home.
He doesn't. I feel like I hope in my imagination that the way it goes for TSM is that the coach doesn't even tell the jungler what to pick. They're just like, hit it. You know, they don't even need to say anything because they've played Sejuani so much.
He's been trained to know what he should be responding.
They just know. They just have like a code word and that's it. They pick Sejuani.
Oh man.
I mean, so like TSM, we say this a lot, and I think a lot of the time we're kind of joking, where it's like, oh, like the LCS team and the Academy team are so similar. And I think there are sometimes like overlap between the orgs, but for the most part, the teams are quite separate. Like, you know, they practice in separate places. They have different teams they scrim against, different like schedules. Like a lot of the time, Academy and LCS doesn't mix that often.
No, they don't.
Yet somehow teams always end up playing like each other.
They don't mix. So what happens is they don't mix that often, but they share cliff notes. So then they'll share the cliff note and be like, "Oh, Sejuani," and then we'll just like, "All right, let's run with it."
You got it.
We'll see. We'll do what Big Brother team is doing.
Yeah, I mean current like LCS TSM have been playing quite a bit more aggressively. I feel like this is an older school of TSM, like the Sejuani scale for late game, just, you know, that kind of TSM that people I think love to hate more than anything else, but has certainly been pretty effective for the LCS team throughout its history. But it is just funny to see again another TSM Sejuani, a very late game invested draft here. But I think Dig, I mean, they are the, you know, aggressive early game team that tries to smash people early. So we'll see if they can get it done here. Because if they can't, I think they may struggle against TSM. We'll find out in just a few moments. Champ Select is over. So we'll have another 5-minute break for delay to build it up for competitive integrity. So who's going to win? The early game of Dig or the late game of TSM? Find out after this. Hello and welcome back, everyone. It is time for our third game of the day, and an important one indeed, Crumbs, as far as the playoff picture goes. Dignitas Academy taking on TSM Academy for what is going to mean a lot here. You know, it's the bye for Dig and TSM, where they end up, where they land, potentially how many tiebreakers we play. The tale of today's Academy will be told a lot by the results of this game.
Not just an important one, but one with only playoff teams, as the first two games featured players and teams that were already out of contention, feeling like they could do whatever they want. Now we have people that actually are playing for something to win and lose.
That's true. I mean, both teams, of course, are still in playoffs, but where they finish will be quite different depending on the results of this game. And it is kind of, you know, tale of two drafts here. A very aggressive early game draft here in a lot of ways for Dig. I mean, Phoenix and Lolo on more passive champions, but Demonte on this Akali is a very different pick, the one we haven't seen for a while since the nerf bat hit a number of patches ago. And for TSM, I mean, I don't have to tell you much, but like GP Azir Sedwani should tell you all you need to know about what they want to do here. Very late game, mid to late game intensive champions there. Varus kind of the only one alongside Treats as Rakan that can maybe get things done in the early stages.
Loaded up the throwback draft, and I want to point out that this is 10.6, and that is when Teleport did get nerfed early and buffed late. So Dignitas has 3 teleports, and a lot of their losses have come from an indecisiveness in the late game decision making. So I actually expect these triple TPs to give them more tools to deal with the hectic situations that have cost them a few wins already.
Yeah, certainly they have, you know, the individual mechanics down. A lot of the laning phases have been really good, but especially without Acadian closing out games, and even with Acadian closing out games as they got later and later has been tricky. So I like that observation there. Very curious to see how this mid lane matchup goes, but I imagine it'll be a lot of farming in the lane phase. We'll check in maybe a little bit later, as perhaps the bottom lane is where we could expect a little bit of action. Lost and Treats likely looking to get a bit aggressive here with the Varus and the Ignite on the Rakan. But Phoenix and Olay, this is a, you know, a classic at this point as they hit level 2 first. More than capable here for Phoenix on the Ezreal, and generally when Ezreal's lanes are going well, you tend not to interact very much, which is exactly what he wants.
Yeah, and that's what TSM is okay with as well. They know the Ezreal can be a late game threat, and even Ornn items can be a problem, but their composition is just built to deal more damage later in the game. You're just not playing to win early, even if the opportunity presents itself. So they're going to be fine farming away and trusting that Gangplank can build up a lead like we saw in game 1, where Deus was playing against Ornn and ended up just being a monster.
And on the farm train, there is that top lane, which we'll check in with every now and then, but is once again Ornn versus Gangplank. So see how much farming Goku can get done. He's actually pretty significantly ahead in CS right now versus Lolo, who does have that spellbook brought to battle, which can be nice for the utility, but maybe not as much individual laning presence as something like Grasp, which we did see in the last game. So see if Lolo does continue to struggle or if things even out a little bit, but for now, there's been a fairly quiet early game as both junglers also content to run things up.
The Gangplank lane. I mean, this is why he falls a little bit behind in CS, but the Ornn strength, and I know we always want to look at his upgrades and items, and now that it got nerfed, I think we have a better chance to look into what makes his laning phase so powerful. You can just buy things to make you stronger in lane as you get them. No one else has that. So, you know, hit 300 gold instantly, now your trades are better, right? Hit 400 gold, now you've got more HP, now you have whatever you need, and that does go a long ways in helping him still be relevant despite the damage nerf.
Yep. Of course, as players learn the champion, people realize, hey, you can actually get a lot done with Ornn. Good double knock up there for Treat. Straightening onto Phoenix is the target. Olay with the Unbreakable up, but Speaker running in. Q not going to hit, and here's Grig now, maybe the counter attack as the TP's coming in as well from Dig. Who is it this time, though? It's going to be a surprise as Olay is low, but Speaker also in the same fate. Demonte, the one down here, though, and that's going to be first blood to the Akali. Demonte maybe still chasing in a 1v3. He flips his way out and has the flash, so he's fine. And Evolve TP'd way too late to save that play.
Oh, I wanted Akali to take it to see if he could have actually gotten the kill on Treats at the end as well. But that play, what started off as a gank from TSM, gets answered really quickly just because Dignitas' teleports are more impactful right now, and Evolve tried to do something, but he's not 6, and he doesn't have that level ultimate to punt everybody else back.
Yeah, I mean, Evolve just got there so late and just couldn't really contribute anything. I mean, I feel like Azir flanks have been a meme for a while, but like Azir TPs aren't that good for a reason. He needs time to set up, you know? Gangplank TPs are also not that impressive, but at least Gangplank has his ulti to start things off and can just free fire a Q if he needs to. Azir needs to set up the soldiers, find the positioning, like a very methodical champion. TPing straight into an absolute party in the bot lane, not really what I would describe as methodical, and Dignitas do well to navigate for that first blood.
It's one of those things that every team always works on, trying to be there for each other, being there for the right play, and a lot of times if you're over-indexing on that, you're going to just default to being there even if it's not the play that you should have looked for, because those teleport seconds make the difference, right? That is what made the difference. Had Azir been there a few seconds like you were saying, or Akali been a little bit later, Azir would have gotten before her, and that might have turned the tides of the fight. But it's also a split-second decision for you to recognize, I've lost the timing window, I need to tell my team to either back off or expect very weak reinforcements.
Yep, and Demonte now level 6. He did get that first kill, so the extra money is going to speed up the Gunblade completion pretty significantly, which is a very important timing for Akali to hit as soon as possible. Gunblade is a little unwieldy to build, even though both its components are good. It costs quite a lot of gold, and the difference between having a finished Gunblade as an Akali and not having one is ludicrous as far as how much she can get done.
It's like the only item you need is Akali, really. Once you have that, you
it feels like it's
stay laning the whole time.
Alright, TP again. This time it's Lolo ready with the ulti. Treat's going to get knocked around. Great double knock up though. Braum Q's going to come in, and that's going to seal it. Ult down for Doppler is not even soon enough to prevent it, and I don't think it would have done anything even earlier. Very nice play once again for Dig, TPing to the bottom lane for a second time.
Yeah, and a valiant effort out of Treats there, but they knew that Lost did not have flash, and the immobile Varus gets paid in kindly, as now Dignitas can start prepping up for a dragon that will make a big difference. I mean, they should really be wanting to get this objective, because the mountain buff when you have tanky boys on your team is actually a big deal.
Yeah, you can see that bottom lane is taking a recall right now on the Dig side, so we'll be delayed in that, but a Sheen for Phoenix is a huge change in power for the Ezreal, if indeed a fight will break out for this first Drake. Treats and Lost getting things pushing in the bottom lane as Evolved goes over to get the first blue buff for himself of the game. But again, it leaves Demonte space here to push the lane up, so it does seem like the window is for the Drake, but wrong side of the map for Grig is what happened.
That's the most iconic TSM jungler thing you'll ever see. Right? Sejuani into first or second buff to the mid laner right away, second blue.
Yep. I mean, you know, it's the standard for a reason, but it does feel even more poignant with a team that came from Team Solo Mid, as Evolved does indeed get the buff for himself. Lolo here going to clear out this ward in the top side, and it has done a very nice job stabilizing in the 1v1 versus Dokla. That TP especially adding a lot, so will be a TP advantage for TSM for a little bit, so perhaps the Drake isn't really on the cards right now as a result, but see what happens as the teams for now have gone back to just farming in their lanes nice and safely.
And now they also have the Gangplank ultimate when it comes online to help out in those fights again, because it was used to try to save Lost at the very end, but you almost always want to use those when you know you can get a kill and not just to save somebody, right? There's not a lot of value in saving versus generating gold.
Yeah, it's you know, especially at level 1, GP ult's pretty long cooldown, so haven't seen it be as effective as Dokla would have wanted it to be, but still just fine in the 1v1 as far as that lane goes.
Not just level 1, but without the upgrade. It actually takes such a long time to get that first upgrade, because you're almost always just harassing in lane anyways. So without the center core for more damage, you're not getting as much value as you would be with the CC that a Varus can provide or a Sejuani, and then instantly true damage rains on them.
I always forget just how many minigames Gangplank gets to play as a champion. You know, you get extra gold.
Here's another one.
You blow up barrels. You have buy coins for your ulti.
The one people forget is that the barrel, for some reason, blowing up the barrel resets your passive entirely. Right? It's not like a half a cooldown. It's just like, there it is. You have it again.
It's always fun to see people with the passive like shoot a barrel. You're like, oh no, could have used the passive. Wasted on that poor barrel. Sometimes you got to do it. Yeah, GP's got a lot going on for a champion that just sits and farms for 20 minutes, but you know, good for a reason. Certainly something you have to wrap your head around. But
it's a skill. It's a skill.
It's definitely a skill. GP is not an easy champion, I don't think. Like the if you just like build Infinity Edges and Trinity Forces and like ran around killing people and eating oranges, like okay, pretty easy, but you're not really playing the whole champion. You know, learning battle chains, learning all the timings, learning all the little mini games and knowledge you need. Like GP is actually quite complex.
Yeah, and the barrel speeds is actually one of the most confusing aspects of him because it changes with every single level, yet you're always using them.
Yep, there's a lot going on. You've been learning to play against GP, right? You have to learn the different speeds at which you need to auto-attack the barrels down. Obviously, they get easier for you as you get more attack speed, but a lot happening for, again, not a lot being generated because it's just a farm bill in the top lane right now for Dirkla and Lola, which it is interesting to see DIGA kind of accept TSM's game pace, although they are grinding out, you know, some small advantages here and there. Phoenix has just taken a plate off the bottom tower. There is a slight gold lead for Dignitas, which isn't that impressive given the 2 kills they have, but I think Dirkla printing a bit of extra money is having something to do with that. And Damonte has finished that Gunblade nice and quickly. We'll see if he does try and influence the map here. Bottom lane looks to be the case. Ole gets a knock up there. Treats is gonna get out of there though, and Greg is just gonna pop the Herald. So it's a commitment for the tower more than anything else. I like this fast play from Dig.
That was a good buffer there from Phoenix to answer the counter engage from Treats. So he had the ultimate ready to go and was able to actually dish out damage, which might be enough to get every plate they want down here. Not too sure on the HP, but it was pretty low by the time the Herald would pop. Yep, one more plate. Yep.
Greg also calling for Damonte because there was a two threats in the river, Speaker and Evolve, potentially cutting him off. But Damonte going to get the pushback. Might even go for something here in mid lane. Again, kind of curious to see Damonte on Akali again, a champion that is quite a bit different, both in power and in execution since the changes. But this was a counter pick, you know, that Damonte took, and I was expecting maybe something a bit flashier.
Flashier than this?
I mean, he teleported for that 1 kill, which was nice. Like, he hasn't done anything, like, mechanically overwhelming. He's made good decisions as a player and laned well, right? But if this is supposed to be a counter where Akali gets leverage against Azir, I'm not seeing it yet. Maybe it's just a pick where he feels like it's strong enough, he knows the champion, he thinks he can teamfight with it, which he can. Like, he's a good enough player to. Then that's the goal, right? But when I see Akali counter picked into Azir, I assume there's something I don't know. And maybe I know everything and that actually the lane just gets split and you're supposed to use her in the mid game.
Yeah, I agree with you, right? The Akali hasn't really done a whole lot besides that 1 teleport. She's just been farming. You've just been splitting against the Azir, which plays into Azir's wheelhouse, and it still plays into Akali's somewhat in that she has agency to find a play. You're just now dealing with way stronger opponents, so you missed out on the window where they were really squishy.
Yeah, it does feel like, though, the TPs that Dig have used, in fact, it's 2 TPs for 2 kills, both to the bottom lane. Really, the only CS lead that's significant as far as the laners go is the bottom lane one, and that's actually getting shrunk a little. Phoenix is constantly TP'd back to lane. He's done it again now, actually, in the bottom lane. They've almost taken all the plates off the tower, and it's low enough that they can probably kill it if they get a little bit of extra time. So all that pressure has given Phoenix an individual lead, which is interesting to see Dig move a lot of their resources to make sure Phoenix is having a good start to his game. But if Phoenix can take over on this Ezreal, certainly any aggression from the Ignite and this Varus that was picked here by TSM quite early has not done anything yet, given all of the people that Dignitas have brought down to this bot lane.
Yeah, and this is going to be a very different Ezreal because he's not running lethal tempo, he's going Conqueror, so this is just going to be about A-ramming in the mid lane, getting those stacks and starting to proc in a team fight. He needs to hit both Mirror Mana and Frozen Fist before he's actually any threat. Once that happens, now we're going to start to see Dig start to really play around Phoenix and have him soften the opposition before the engage happens.
Ooh, Drake is low, but who's going to get it? Speaker committing for it. He does manage to get it away, but the ulti out of Lola is not bad. Still, though, Treats with a great counter engage gets the charm onto Phoenix as well. And does get the kill, but still they're getting low. Evolve flashing in, getting Phoenix moved back in. That's a beautiful play there out of the Azir. And Dignitas, they almost had something in that fight with the Drake, and 2 kills go TSM's way instead.
Yeah, TSM had everybody there and ready to go. And while Spica was the focus, he got the Aftershock ready. He got it right on time, was able to secure the steal, and lived through that. While Jarvan is a Conqueror champion. He can't stand to the Sejuani HP without his Conqueror being fully stacked.
Yeah, and there is that Iceborne Gauntlet that you mentioned. It's now done for Phoenix, but it wasn't done for that fight. So it feels like TSM just had the better setup. Again, when you let this kind of team set up on an objective, it can be tough without a really good on ulti or a very, a multi-level flank to, I think, pick apart TSM in the 5v5. So TSM do the right thing. They get themselves an equalizing Drake, and the gold is going to tie back up here alongside those kills. So settle in, Crumbs, because I think this game is going to take longer than what we've seen so far today to resolve itself, which makes sense given that these are 2 playoff teams that are very much still in contention for even the spot that Dignitas currently occupies.
When I saw the draft, I accepted that I was going to have a late lunch. I immediately knew we're going in late for this one, and it's going to get really tricky for Dig, and this is a position they drafted themselves into, because now you can't actually teamfight without Phoenix poking down anybody. There's no damage until the full commitment, and once you're in there, it's only Damonte, right? Phoenix is not the randomly burst everybody. He is the poke you down and then out teamfight you. So Grig and Ole have a really tough time staying alive long enough to create space for Damonte in these fights.
Yeah, with Conqueror especially, like Phoenix is playing for very long, prolonged team fights here on Ezreal. But Rifthold, I believe the first one of this game is going to be started by TSM. But Ole's already in there, gets a decent ulti. Lolo again looking for the re-engage, but doesn't quite get it. Lost through the target. Phoenix will try and chase him down, but Treats is trying to save his buddy and will do so. No, not quite. Lost does finally fall at the hands of Phoenix, who's chasing down Treats again with those slows. Gonna keep rocking everything he can. Onto Treats he goes, and Phoenix in a 1v2 basically. Able to get 2 kills there. Just takes the bottom lane down by himself.
Yeah, that was so much better from Dignitas. The bottom lane got split off from the fight. They were on the left-hand side, which made it so much easier for them to go in there and clean up. So now that they don't have summoners, they could probably do that again, as Lorlo has his, and so does Damonte.
Damonte did use his ulti in that fight, but we did not see that on screen. So still curious to see how the rest of Dignitas are going to approach team fights, but certainly breaking up TSM like that they managed to do there is going to be very helpful in future engagements. So Damonte going to push another wave in. Still, the game is hanging pretty close between these 2 teams. Dig not even up 1,000 gold at this point, as Lolo gets the last wave pushed in and going to take a recall. Rifthold, though, did also go over to TSM, so they do have that to use to try and knock down a tower for themselves and equalize on that front against Dig as well.
I just thought of something. As long as teamwork exists, which seems to be forever,
yes,
the saying divide and conquer will be the #1 strategy to defeat that. Right? So against any team, if you can just split them up, you'll usually have a way to win.
Well, let's see what Speaker wants to drop this Herald. Looks like maybe top lane with Lost and Treats rotating up there, but Lolo's holding off just fine on his own right now on the Ornn. Damonte, I think, finally with the Morello finish, is starting his petition to be the full-time side laner on Dignitas. And he's going to start that now, threatening any potential 1v1s, and certainly the structures if TSM choose to ignore him. Herald dropped mid, though, with the tower at 50% health. I do like this bit of aggression from TSM.
Okay, and Lurler is close to 14. Yet there is no one with an item to upgrade.
Hate to see it, and we see it quite often. So I'm starting to sense a pattern, Krabs.
Do they just hate their Ornn? Do people just hate playing with this champion?
So Phoenix actually has one, which is nice. It's one of the nice things about going this build, opposed to the Trinity Force build. You can upgrade the Iceland
true.
into its classic Frozen Fist.
But
other than that, yeah.
the Monte's far.
And when Demonte's going to be getting like a, I mean, Zhonya's maybe or a death cap.
Grig is so far when he committed to a giant spell item right now. Maybe we're going to see a Knight's Vow out of Olay.
Maybe. Goes Zeke's already. Got some pressure from TSM here in the mid lane. Monte has already had to give up his duties to side lane. Level 13, about to hit a 1v5. See you later. Oh, goodness, in the Shroud. Just gets locked up forever and lost. Just shoots a Q through him, and that's such a nice kill for TSM.
Now it's up to Phoenix. He's really going to have to be the star of the show if Dignitas wants to win this fight with red buff, Mirror Mana, QSS, Frozen Fist. He is primed to do it.
Well, see if Phoenix then can trim the top wave, actually. And looks like Dignitas are giving up this Drake. It will be Ocean, the first of this game, but first potentially of many over to TSM.
That felt so anticlimactic, seeing the Ezreal walk up, red buff, ready to go, thinking, okay, he might be looking for some poke, maybe a steal, and then ults the other way and leaves.
Yeah, I mean, TSM actually now in the lead. Again, not by much, up about 500 gold or so. But given the comp they've drafted for themselves, I think they're very happy with how this game is going, particularly since Dignitas have just looked so shaky in longer games especially. So curious to see how they navigate through what is now getting to the latter half of this mid game.
When you draft like this and play like this, you're okay with getting to a stage in the game where all you need is one fight. And that's what they'll have. Just you need one team fight, one good pick, and you might just get every objective that you need. We saw it happen right now with the Ocean. You do it one more time, you get yourself a Baron. And when you have a Zir and a Varus, you even have a sneak option available. You don't need that pick. You actually have tools to sneak the objective if Dig doesn't respond.
Well, Dig right now clearing out some vision on the top side because they're trying to cut off Evolved and Speaker, but Treats here first. Olay gonna get stunned up and killed. Phoenix over the top. No, there's Grig gonna try and save Olay, but Lost will make sure that does not happen. Grig now left out to dry in a 1v5 as he gets clipped by Varus ulti as Evolved grabs another, and Dignitas, they're trying these plays, but all they're going to have to defensively on ulti here, although Phoenix might be able to turn it back around. Speaker going to be the target. Phoenix continuing to throw very nice Qs. Demonte, though, dashing in, has the execute ready to go. Flips over, gets one, maybe makes it two onto Evolve, but it's going to be close and not quite enough. Back into the trail we go. Dig fighting for their lives, but not quite able to get it for Demonte. It's Phoenix, though, able to play cleanup, make it a triple. Not going to be the quadra as Dokla finally gets the kill, and now it's a 1v1 left for the top laners. Lolo versus Dokla. Lolo slaps the barrel down and forces Dokla's flashes. I guess Dignitas win the team fight.
This game is neck and neck. That was so close, and it looked like Demonte and Phoenix were gonna be able to just clean up everyone. Once they had that right angle with Lorlo with the ultimate, and Evolved had to flash out, I thought they had it, yet they went in so aggressively that they just lost their HP right away without the cooldowns necessary to actually clean them up.
Yeah, we said Phoenix was, going to want to play prolonged team fights and showed up in that last fight with the Blade of the Ruin King now on the way as item number 3. So certainly can see what Phoenix can do when left unchecked. It was nice to see Demonte get aggressive finally with the Akali and almost find himself 2 instant kills off the second half of his ultimate, but the game continues to be close. Dig were up. Now TSM are up a few hundred gold as Dig is still trying to kind of crack another tower or get a more decisive team fight win. But again, we're settling in for a longer one. The first major team fight literally has only 2 people left alive in a duel where Dokla eventually flashes. So things could get very chaotic as we push down the stretch here. But minute 45 for the next Drake. TSM will be playing for their second and sole point in just a few moments.
Those are really the best kind of fights. And I kind of think of it as like a mixed martial fight where I think most people just want to see a double knockout, and you kind of get that here with these fights where both teams are just unable to do anything afterwards. You're like, yeah, just do it again. We want to see you go at it.
Yeah, well, they're going to have that opportunity in just a few moments. Demonte, though, enough time to take down the top outer tower and give Dig back the gold lead, but again, very slim at only a few hundred gold, and he will need to race back down to the bottom half of the map because there is that Ocean Drake to fight for in a minute. Is Dokla going to do the same? Nope. Staying around for a little while longer. Does have his ultimate ready to go, but doesn't have his teleport, so gonna need to take his back soon-ish, although it looks like he's actually walking back right now.
He probably doesn't have
be delayed.
IE money. That's what he's waiting on.
Instead, we'll just have to fight with this BF sword. Lost in Treats channeling in the mid lane for recalls. It's a little confusing to me, but we'll have time to get back out on the map. And Rage Blade done for Lost, probably a pretty important item for him to pick up here. Phoenix will not be able to complete his third, although with the Gauntlet already done and the Muramana now finished and transformed. Dignitas feeling pretty good about their upcoming chances in the fight as Damonte keeping Dokla occupied in the top lane. Go for it.
Dokla doesn't have TP. He can't even join if Dig starts his dragon.
Yeah, Dig already here. Gonna make it a 4v4 with Damonte ready with TP, but keeping the Gangplank occupied. Although they're sticking around mid for now, not wanting to overcommit for the objective with the rest of TSM somewhat unknown. They'll get mid priority back. They'll push back towards the Drake pit. And Dokla walking over, so Damonte is here pressuring in the side lane. Can TP though if they want to fight, and Dig will start the Drake.
Good poke there from Ezreal. This is how the fight needs to start. Build up that Conqueror, the fight begins.
On ulti again, Phoenix with a beautiful QSS there out of the Varus ultimate, sorry. And now Damonte in the backline onto Dokla. He goes, finishing off the job he started. What a clean execution on the other side of the wall. Lolo chasing down the rest as Damonte is trying to get in there, but Ole blows up Evolved on the other side of it all. Dignitas with a stunning teamfight victory.
Yeah, that wasn't even close. They went more.
Lost. Might be going down here. A good knock up there for Lolo. Damonte a little too far forward. Ole, they're going to block for it all. He does get the kill at the end of the day. The transfer over the turret aggro to the tanks will mean that Speaker also dies and somehow Damonte lives. And that might just be Drake and the Baron to boot here for Dignitas. They take almost everybody down from TSM.
The casual stroll in the mid lane to pick up a few more kills, and Dignitas just blew this game wide open. 2 minutes ago, we had an even gold lead, and now this game looks not even close with what they're going to be able to get from this. The poke of Phoenix is creating enough space that by the time that TSM sets up a team fight, Akali just cleans up the rest of their HP.
Again, those divided fights, Damonte is thriving in that chaos on this Akali. I mean, we said, you know, laning phase, nothing much happened except for some farming. We were waiting to see him, you know, be explosive in these team fights, and certainly has been in the last two. As the Baron now for Dignitas, they equalize on Drakes. They are in firm control of this game as finally a real gold lead opens up. 4,000 gold ahead now for Dig.
And the itemization is there to maintain that gold lead. We've got Stoneplate and Zanya's completed on both solo laners on Dignitas, which is going to buy even more time for the damage dealers. So I think Dignitas is now just thinking about how do we get into a position to actually use our items, because Phoenix alone is not enough to cut through Nazir in the mid lane. The ranged clear is very powerful.
Oh, Damonte is starting to really shred through TSM here. I mean, again, 1v1 Dokla basically from top lane to the team fight he TP'd to. Dignitas were expecting to get these easy towers, so they'll take the mid outer very cleanly. Still 2 minutes left on the Baron power play though, and see if they can get any more here. Looks like they're committing to the 4-1 with Damonte in the bottom lane trying to tie up the GP. And 2 turrets going to be taken very swiftly here as Dig rampaging towards TSM's Nexus.
TSM needs to commit to wave clear, holding these turrets as long as they can. They still haven't lost the base, which is what they're counting on. You don't draft these kinds of comps without thinking that you aren't going to give up a few turrets here and there. Whoa!
Oh, Evolve gets clipped, tries to go for the play, but gets killed by Phoenix as Grig uses the dunk to make sure he gets in there. Ole gonna flash out of there. Great ult from Lolo, gonna save Phoenix, the most critically important member, as he ulties back and gets a good chunk of damage done. And Phoenix now with the Conqueror stacked up, continues to throw the poke, and Evolve, I like that he tried to make the play, but it did not work out as Damonte, getting cute, redirects back away from Dokla.
That was fancy. SS still available, so even if Speaker lands a stun, not going to be able to lock it down.
Phoenix though getting slowed up by the GP barrel, but again, standing and fighting. Speaker relatively tanky. That Stoneplate used, so TSM cannot overcommit here. At least Dignitas did not get any inhibitor turrets broken, but the amount of gold they've just picked up to go and spend up now to 6,000 gold ahead. Damonte going to steal the blue buff away, and a minute 30 till that next Drake is up. TSM probably going to struggle to contest for this next objective.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they have a window for it, and they don't have to either. Third dragon is not the end of the world for them. They need a little bit more time. Clearly, the itemization is not there. Giving up this objective should probably be sacrificed for control of the red side jungle to buy a little bit more time for the inevitable Baron that Dig will go for to try to seal this game.
Yeah, I think we're looking at the 3-item mark for a lot of TSM, and for Dokla that has at least been hit. Very expensive purchases as well, which GP always has to make. Triforce, IE, and Essence Reaver now all completed. It is kind of the mid lane and the bot laner that's lagging behind here. I mean, Phoenix is so far ahead in this game, but Lost still looking for his third kind of big item. Evolve did at least finish his third, now has the Leandries alongside the Banshees and the Nashes. So Lost is going to be the one a little bit behind, but Dokla and Evolved, I think, can do enough in properly set up team fights. So TSM, again, probably not this Drake, as you're alluding to, in that playing for this particular Drake doesn't really get you much, except killed and your game ends, which isn't really the result you're after. But we'll see how aggressive Dignitas are willing to play, especially with Damonte still hunting people from these side lanes. Although Dokla is going to get this tower down.
They should be playing pretty aggressive. Phoenix, I mean, you're saying Lost is behind. I mean, he's so behind, he got lapped at this point. The Ezreal is build really creative power of the QSS. Just one out of it anyways, which just ends out of and against 2-item Varus, right? Hex Drinker is essentially this.
Yep, just speak of that with you know, any sort of defense. Oh, that's right. A little cloth under there for treats, you know, trying to pay respects where he can, but not a lot, certainly. As Dignitas trying to close out this game. Baron again in 50 seconds. That'll be the next thing that TSM have to worry about, but Damonte is continuing to apply pressure in the side lane. DIGA sticking to this 4-1 when they're trying to siege towards TSM's base.
They crashed the mid turret, and they know that Varus cannot respond, so they have a man advantage over here, and it's what they're using to slowly whittle away these turrets, buy enough time for the Baron, which will be up in 30 seconds, and one that they can two-man.
Alright, well, Crumbs, I have just got reports that you can hear me, but apparently people out there in the world cannot hear you. So I'll take over until everything is A-OK. Damonte in a bot of bother, perhaps. Ulti out onto Grig as well, but he's safe. And Dig, oh goodness, TSM getting aggressive. Lost, why are you going in there? It's a 1v3. I mean, yeah, you had your jungler there, but that's not it, as Grig gonna have to get out of there, but Phoenix is joining in, and this could be the fight that maybe seals it. Grig, though, is gonna go down just barely. No, he's not. Olay able to save the day as Damonte is zooming in towards Evolve, but into stasis he goes. Phoenix is still there, getting aggressive over the top, but I think that's a bridge too far. It is Evolve able to take him down for a big shutdown, as Lawler gonna try and finish off the job. Damonte low, but he's still ducking and moving through the shroud. Olay back in onto Dokla, who gets knocked up, and there's Grig as TSM. They committed so much to try and have it happen, but it doesn't work out. They lose almost everyone. It's just the support squad left alive. It's Treats and Speaker, the only two left. And Grig, he's going to find the Sejuani as well. They're going to delay that potential recall. Going to just chase him down here. Damonte is here ready to try and grab yet another kill. As Grig slap it away. Looks like no objectives will be taken down as a result, but Speaker certainly will not be living here, as Damonte commits the ult charge to go on that rampage, as Treats the only one that was left alive, as TSM are at least respawning, but Olay and Lolo trying to chase that down as well. Tagged in there with the Q. Damonte again just being gifted kills across the map, and the Treats will flash to get himself to safety, but after an extremely long team fight, never mind, it's not over. TP it as well. Phoenix is coming in hot, and that's going to be a kill onto Treats as Dignitas chase TSM around the world for the delayed ace, and hopefully for them, the Baron as well. Pretty unreal that Dig were able to chase things around here.
I think I'm back.
Hello?
I think I'm back.
Hey! Welcome back.
I saw that. Yeah. Nice.
That was fun.
I didn't do anything, and now I'm back, and now Dignitas has a Baron, so all is well, ends well.
You picked a good time to leave, because that was literally 90 seconds straight of action as Dignitas used their 3 TPs to macro around the team fight, which is something that we don't see very often.
Hey, it was anticipated. Saw it in the summoner spells, and the triple TP comes through. The Ezreal, I mean, he's just so darn strong right now, and you hate to see this pastry. The Zhonya's got upgraded before the death cap.
Okay, so we do hate to see it, but in Lolo's defense, that Jonas has been there for a lot longer than the death cap.
Yeah.
So I think they just that was more of a case of they made the decision to actually do that than they just made a mistake, which we do also.
It's also in the builds. Some of the build criticisms that a lot of players get don't falter in the timing at which the build came. So, you know, you're saying the Zhonya's was there before, yes, and maybe there was even a time where they needed to ensure a team fight win, and we're like, well, this gives us the better chance for this fight.
Exactly. I mean, now he's 6-2 and 4 with worth 700 bonus gold. So Demonte wishes he had waited, but couldn't really see that. Maybe needed the upgrade to even get some of that stuff done. But TSM is still trying to battle here. Dig does have Baron, by the way, but TSM are fighting like they're the ones that are sieging. As Treats dives in onto Lolo for a bit of poke, but this could get messy. Demonte's not here, but he's waiting for a potential TP flank.
Phoenix has hit every Q, and he is such a nuisance right now. I mean, he's hitting Spica, which is a good target, but he has a Warmox. The ones that are sticking onto Gangplank or anybody else really are making a difference for Dignitas. And with 12 seconds into the Soul, this is exactly where they want to be.
Well, TSM going to have to try and force the fight because they don't want to give up that Ocean Soul. All the way out with the ulti. Treats dive so deep. But does interrupt the roof, but Lolo back in there. Phoenix has already taken down Treats, and Lolo without the ulti saving the day on the back end of the fight as Demonte dives in for the final 2 kills. It looks to be a big old ace here as the double kill has already come through for the Ornn, but Dokla falls and Speaker in the shrubbery will not survive too much longer. Maybe going to take down Grig before it all happens, but Grig smites the Drake just to make sure he lives, and Speaker will die without being able to steal the Drake. That's going to be the ace end of the game as Dignitas Academy will take down TSM.
That was such a fun fight to watch. Phoenix and Lorla doing so much work on the right side wall, but ultimately TSM's late game team comp just did not hold a candle against what Dignitas drafted here. They played it so well and got to a point that their engage just was too strong.
Yeah, different kind of comp here for Dig, but exceptionally well played through it all. And was happy to play the patient game. It seems like, you know, when they really needed it, they tightened up the mid to late game. They will take down TSM's Nexus, and I believe clinched the bye for themselves as well. So we may play no tiebreakers, but I believe we can now only play 1 at most, Crumbs. So we are spared potentially extra games, but we are sadly also not given extra games and not given more muddiness. It turns out when you hype up the day to be, you know, a chaotic standings clinching day full of upsets and ups and downs, you know, it turns out the most straightforward way possible. And
yeah,
we only
we got spared, but then I'm looking at my calendar and I've got some time. I think I could squeeze in some extra games.
Yeah. You know what? Still a fun one, though. We are going to take a quick break, but when we return, it's going to be Team Liquid Academy looking to take down Cloud9 Academy, and we'll see if that one plays out in just a moment.